Hey guys, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel with your host Elio, and we are here with the brilliant Jeff Westlake. So,
Well,
Jeff, welcome.
thank you very much. Great to be back with you.
Yeah, I can't believe we've just been talking up there behind the scenes there. I can't believe it's been over 3 years since we last spoke.
Well, it goes back to what we were just talking about. Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh
we need
yeah,
to make sure that we connect more often.
oh yeah, oh god, yeah. So, Jeff, could you introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. My name is Jeff Westlake. I live in the Mid-Atlantic in the United States. I am a guitar player, songwriter, music engineer, music producer, and a videographer for music videos and things like that. So I know that's a whole bunch, but that's what I do.
Yeah. Um, so let's start off with some questions.
Sure.
As a kid, what were you listening to?
Well, as a very young kid, up till about 5 years of age, the only thing that I listened to was Johnny Cash. Country music star Johnny Cash, and I really dug his vibe. I think I dug his vibe more than I did so the music, because he just had a real rock star kind of vibe. He was bigger than life, and that's what I did. And then there was that ill-fated day I walked by my sister's bedroom and heard Iron Man coming out of the bedroom, and from that day on, I kind of started bleeding myself off of Johnny Cash. Although I still listen to Johnny even to this day, but I kind of started bleeding myself away from him and going into rock. So it was Sabbath and Purple immediately, and then when Kiss came out, I immediately gravitated to Kiss. And then, of course, I like a lot of other people too. I love UFO. Ronnie James Dio is my absolute favorite. I don't care what band he was in, Elf, Rainbow, Sabbath, Dio, didn't matter. Absolutely my favorite. Big Aerosmith fan, huge Y&T fan, big Motorhead fan, Saxon. I mean, I've got a huge plethora of music that I love. And as you can imagine, I listen to music all day long.
Yeah, uh, who doesn't really? Because I know music is like part of the soul, shall we say?
Absolutely. I actually think that music probably drives the majority of people, and they don't realize that it does. But you tend to gravitate toward the music that your soul needs. And so I personally think that music is the life force.
Yeah, true, so true, so true.
Yeah.
So, who actually got you into sort of like listening to music? Was it sort of like a family member, like your sister, or a family friend, or was it sort of like partially sort of like a journey of self-discovery?
Well, I'd have to give complete credit to my love for music to my grandparents, Ann and Jim DeLauder, because I grew up in a house. I grew up at my grandparents' house, and I grew up listening to music from day one. They were, like I said, they were, we're in middle America, and so country music at that time was a big thing. And they were like huge Johnny Cash and Hank Williams Jr. and Roy Clark and Glenn Campbell and all that stuff. And so that's what I grew up listening to. I mean, music played all day long. And then as time went on, like I said a minute ago, when I walked by my sister's bedroom and heard Black Sabbath coming out of it, that's where things started changing. I love the aggression and the heavy guitars, and I was blown away by the sounds that I heard. So my grandparents initially, my sister, who will be hearing this for the first time, did it without knowing it. And then once I gravitated into the rock field, then I just started soaking everything up from all over as much as I could.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so out of all the musicians, bands, groups, who was your sort of like main influence to say, I know what, I want to pick up guitar and I want to become a musician? Who was your main influence?
There was probably two of those. I would have to go with two, and then it very quickly changed and adapted from there. But the first time I laid my eyes on Ted Nugent, I was like, what in the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Here's this wild man who just plays this incredible guitar and all this energy. And you probably remember as well as I do back in the day, Ted was all over the stage, running back and forth and just a wild man. And then, of course, Ace Frehley, from Kiss, the whole vibe that he had and the guitar that caught fire during the guitar solo and the way he swaggered through the stage. That was my initial thing that made me want to play. And then once I got into it a little bit more, then I started picking up on how great Tony Iommi was, Michael Schenker, Rudolph Schenker, and then I've got other people too that I love. I love Dave Meniketti, Adrian Vandenberg, John Sykes. And the list goes on and on of people that I admire. But those two are the two that got me kickstarted.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. So, before you started BFD, were there any other bands you were in before you started all this?
Oh, yeah. Back in 2004, I started a little band called Hydrogen, Hydrogyn, that did quite a many things over in Europe and there in the UK. And we had good success over there. So we did that from 2004 to about 2021, I think. There was 3 different incarnations of the band. There was Julie, the original lead singer, Erica Perrott, who was the second lead singer, and Holly Hines-Freed, who was the third lead singer, who all brought something different, but they all brought amazing things. But last year, it just ran its course, and I was just tired of it. And so we shut that band down, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And now here we are with BFD. But in the meantime, while that was going on too, during the Hydrogen thing, I also played in a band from Canada called Audio Porn with Azrael St. Michael. We did a band here in the States that was called Urakai. It's URA-KIA. And that was with the leader of a ghost hunting program called Deep South Paranormal. His name's Keith Ramsey. I also, in that band, was my brother in arms, Jeff Boggs, who I started Hydrogen with. And that was really the main things that I did as far as band-wise until this. I did some solo stuff, too, under my own name. So I've got a lot of product out there, and I've been really busy, and BFD is just a way for me to re-kick with fresh talent, young kids, and so far it's going really, really well.
Cool. Yeah. So now that BFD is sort of like doing, you kickstarted BFD, I should say. So what have you been up to since you started the band?
We've been writing and recording, just writing and recording. The whole thing happened by chance. It was a mistake. A buddy of mine that I just recently met and was working with him in production, kind of teaching him how to engineer and produce and, how to train his ears and stuff. Called me up one day, said, "Hey, I've got something I want you to listen to. Do you mind if I come over? And I'm going to bring somebody with me." I was like, "Yeah, come on over." So he came over, and he had this girl in tow who happened to be Sammi, and played a demo of his. And I was like, "Oh, who's that girl singing?" He was like, "It's her." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I kind of turned around and looked at her, and I go, "So you sing, huh?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Let me hear you sing something, like really belt it out." And I did, and it completely blew me away. And within a week, the video that you saw that your co-producer likes so well, "Don't You Walk Away," that was the first song that she tracked. And what you heard was her very first track. And it was the first time that she'd ever sang rock music and the first time she'd ever been in the studio. It was amazing.
Cool.
But we just been doing a lot of writing. We got 3 products that I'm going to have out by the end of spring in 2025 so we can get on the road. And and we're going to be heavy with video. We've already released 2 videos, and we've got works for right now for 2 others going on. You know, but it's just a lot of writing, and before that, I was doing a lot of producing for other bands. A band down in New Zealand called Mojo Alice, produced an album for them, and a few other people. I can't really tell you who they are yet until the products come out. But it's just been really busy. But with BFD, it's just been writing, and we start rehearsals in late spring for a live show.
Cool. So going back to the 2 videos that you sent over, Don't You Walk Away and I've Seen the Devil.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about each of those songs?
Yeah, I've Seen the Devil is a song that I co-wrote with a buddy of mine by the name of Tony Phillips, who lives just about an hour west of me. And when he had some stuff and he sent it to me, he goes, "Hey, can you do anything with this?" And so I came up with that whole situation. And then Sammi heard it, and she just really loved it. And she's like, "Can we do that song?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we did. It's a song that, you know, basically tells about everything that's going on in the world today. You know, about, you know, the last thing it says in the song is, "I've seen the devil and she looks a lot like you." You know, basically saying you don't know what's going on behind the people's faces that you see, you know, in the facades, and you're talking about all the different things. If you listen to the lyrics throughout the song, you can figure it out for yourself. But that's a song just talking about basically the debauchery of the world in its current state. And then Don't You Walk Away is just a great song. And that's a song about, you know, somebody, for whatever reason, leaving a relationship and realizing after it's over with, it was too late. They should have never done it. And the other person just looking at him going, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And so that's kind of the premise. And if you watch the video to Don't You Walk Away, you can see that whole longing for somebody leaving you. I always go back to the 2 crows that are sitting on the phone wire, and the one flies off and the other one's looking at it like, "Where are you going?" You know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's the premise of those 2 videos. And, you know, the whole album's full of a bunch of really cool topics. It's a very thematical album. It's not a concept. It's just thematical. And I think some of the other videos are going to come out are going to trip some people out.
Cool. So how many songs are on this album?
There are 9 songs on this album, and for a short period of time, there'll be a bonus track as well. So I guess you could say 10 for right now, but that's not going to last long. That'll only go on for the first initial run of the pressing of the CD. And after that, it's going to go down just to 9.
Yeah, cool. So going on to sort of like, you said that you are in the process of doing the second album. If you can, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The first album, let's kind of set it up here, Ella. The first album is very modern heavy. It's got a really modern feel to it. It's very aggressive. The second album is still going to be somewhat aggressive, but there's going to be a couple surprises in there as well. And the third album is completely something different than the first 2. It's still going to be heavy just because I'm involved in it. You know, I like music that's just got, you know, good thick substance. But we're bringing a lot of different elements into it. You know, Sammi comes from a background of blues and R&B, and she was in show choir and all this other stuff in school. So, you know, I don't want anybody to get bored with what's going on. And I did the same thing with Hydrogen. No 2 albums ever sounded the same or even close to having anything the same. And I continue with that theme throughout all this stuff, just to keep it fresh and to keep it what it needs to be. So that kind of tells you what the 3 albums are going to be like. Now, the second one's coming out. It's only an EP. I think there's only 6 or 7 songs on it. So, but the third album that's going to be done is probably going to be more like 10 to 12 songs.
Yeah, cool. Is there going to be a sort of like a theme running throughout each release, or is it just going to be just like a standalone?
Well, the second album is going to be less thematical. It's going to be we're going back and retooling some Hydrogen songs to kind of bring them into the here and now, to kind of get some of that fan base, interested in what Sammy's doing and showing that she has the voice to handle it. She's got the most amazing voice ever. But I've been very blessed by the girls that all sang in Hydrogen and Sammi. All four of them are just amazing. And the third album, I have a feeling, might end up being a little bit of a concept. If not heavy thematical, it might be conceptual. She's already kicking ideas around, so we'll just have to wait and see what she decides on.
Cool. In the meantime, you did say that you were going to be doing some gigs after the third one was released in April. Right. Are you sort of like going to do like a one-off shows?
I'm not really sure. We've been approached about doing a tour in the Midwest in America, starting from Nashville and working all the way up to the Canadian border. We've been approached about that, so that's a possibility. I've also been approached by a couple people over in Europe about the possibilities of doing some touring over there. So there's a lot of things that could be going on, and there could be some one-offs. It's just going to depend and see what transpires, because the record's just now starting to get out there. The music's just getting out. So we'll see how it all happens and how it all comes together. But there's already interest, so let's just hope for the best.
Yeah, cool. Now, if there is sort of like major interest, and you do sort of like get sort of like the backing to do an East Coast tour, would you jump at the chance to do it?
Oh, I would do Vakken in a heartbeat. I don't care what's going on. Yeah. I don't care what I could be digging a ditch and they'd call and I'd pack up and leave tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, any of that stuff, Vakken or Download or any of the big ones over there, I would do those gladly in a heartbeat. I don't have to be on a tour to make that happen. If we were on a tour and that came up, I'd reroute what's going on just to play that, and then we could resume the tour afterwards.
Yeah. I know this. Wacken, and I know there's Hellfest, Bloodstock, Download, and quite a few others in and around Europe who sort of like, I know there's been like a lot of bands who would love to go to like say Wacken to actually.
What's the festival that Bruce Mee from Fireworks puts on?
Oh,
what is the name of that festival?
Oh,
I don't know. I would play for Bruce too. I really like Bruce. I think he's a great guy.
Yeah. I can't remember, to be honest. Is that many?
Maybe it was does he do Download?
Is that Castle Donegal?
Maybe. I'm having a brain fart, man. We'll figure it out later.
So I know you're writing. I know you're writing for for the second and the third album. Is there any other sort of like material you got that you sort of like keeping in reserve? You might think, oh, I might add that to like say the second or the third album.
Well, there's always stuff in reserve. I've got terabytes of riffs, terabytes of like a minute's worth of music and stuff like that. And what happens is Sammi comes into the studio and she sits down and she'll go through stuff. And she just picks out, can I? And she always goes, "Can I have that?" And I'm like, "Of course you can have it," And so I'll put it on a thumb drive for her or send it to her in an email so she can have it to write with. So that's always a possibility. Now I can tell you that the third album, I've got a buddy of mine who I've been friends with for decades, and we've never worked together until now. And his name is Adam Stevenson. We call him DJ Keybreaker because he's a phenomenal keyboardist. him and I are writing together for the third album, and it's just, this stuff is so cool and so fresh. There might not be anything in the archives that make it to the third album just because all this stuff is so great.
Yeah. So, now, have you sort of like got plans on doing any merchandise for the 3 albums, like t-shirts
Yes.
and stuff like that?
T-shirts are almost done for the first album. We've actually already started putting the artwork together. Well, the artwork for the second album is done too, so we're going to produce T-shirts for that as well. And then the third album is going to be a little more involved because I think it's going to be a big deal. Just it feels like a big deal, at least what we're doing. So I went out this past weekend actually and hired a graphic artist to sit down and start working with some of the ideas that Sammi has come up with and what I've come up with, and just to see what happens there. So yeah, there's going to be an extensive line of everything that's going to be available for all of it. I'm hoping to have the T-shirts for the first album up on the website and ready to sell by the end of next week.
Yeah. So, now I do have to ask this question because there's a few people in the who watch these interviews.
Yeah.
And they literally would lynch me. And I literally got to ask this: is there any plans on putting the 3 albums on vinyl? There
is not just a plan, but I am seriously considering doing all 3 on vinyl. I have already been hit by it too. I mean, I got people sending me messages in Facebook and Instagram and sending me messages through the website and all kinds of stuff. And I've also got people begging for some of the, we did Bombshell on vinyl with Hydrogen. And I had somebody over in the UK that just messaged me last week and said, I would love to have Deadly Passions on vinyl. And so, private sessions, there's been a couple people in Germany that asked for private sessions on vinyl. So I'm probably going to end up doing it all just because it's something that people want. And I mean, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. That's the thing. If there's a market there, why not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And make them special. Don't just release them for the sake of releasing them. Make each one of those things special. Like with Bombshell, we put a 6-page colored booklet in it and a poster and stickers. I mean, we did it like Kiss used to do the albums back in the 70s. That's exactly how we did it. And we had to do 3 runs of that album because we sold out because people just loved it.
Yeah. I know when I released which one was it? The X Factor. They put like a big massive poster. They had the Eddie on the vinyl and everything. And it's sort of like, it was sort of like a big deal type of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got to make that stuff special, man, because it really is special. I don't think people of the generation now realize until vinyl became popular again in the last couple of years exactly why it was such a big deal until you get a package and you open it up and see what's in it, and then you're like, whoa. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Love vinyl. Always
yes.
And I don't care about analog versus digital. I'm a producer, and I can honestly tell you that analog doesn't sound better than digital. It's what you talk yourself into liking the most, I think, generally as a person. But the packaging and the overall experience of vinyl crushes digital.
Oh yes, especially when you got like the cover notes and the artwork, and whilst you listen to the music on the vinyl, you sort of like, it sort of like helps you all of that sort of like takes you onto a journey, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. A big journey.
So,
and I don't know about you. I always used to love tearing the plastic off the vinyl and getting the smell.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. It's vinyl over a CD or or part of the streaming service. It's vinyl wins big time for me.
Every time. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Totally agree.
and Lisa, Boo, my co-producer, says yes, me too. So
nice.
yeah. Speaking of Lisa Boo, you mentioned earlier about you might get up to like on the border of Canada for like a tour or a gig, or Lisa Boo's in Alberta. Would you get up to Canada for if it's like financially possible to get up into Canada for a tour?
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. Anything, from what I was told, from when I was approached about this, is the tour would start in Nashville and work its way all the way up to the southern point of Canada. So now, does the southern point of Canada mean we're going to Green Bay, Wisconsin? Does it mean we're going to Detroit, Michigan? Where exactly is that at? And I don't really think that they knew yet, but the tour was already being planned. So I have to answer this person in the next month or so as to whether I think we can pull it off. But, I mean, it's a whole different monster, when you start thinking about going into these different countries, because now you got to have work visas and all this other stuff. So, it's something that you have to consider. You have to make sure the money's available for you and do your thing. But I'm willing to go anywhere that we can go. I was the same way with hydrogen. We went all through Europe and invited down into Mexico and all these different places and everything. So you just got to do what you got to do. If you're serious about your art and you're serious about what you want to do, you'll do whatever you have to do to be able to go tour someplace.
Yeah. So speaking sort of like like venues and playing live, is there a favorite venue that you totally love to play at?
Yeah, there's a couple of them actually. There's a couple places. I can't remember the name of the casino, but there was a casino in Green Bay, Wisconsin that we played. That was just really a cool place. And every time we played there with hydrogen, we packed the joint out. And it was really cool. I really like playing the Nueve Casino in downtown Paris. It's about an 800 standing room only, but it's got such a great vibe. It was really, really, really cool. There was another venue in Cognac, France that was very cool. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. There's just been a whole bunch of them. The Tunnels in Scotland was great. That was up in Aberdeen. Just a bunch of other, cool ones that we've done. Trying to think what my absolute favorite venue would have been. I think my absolute favorite venue was Nueve Casino in Paris, just because the vibe was so alive and so rabid. I take that back. The Underworld in London was amazing. We had such a diverse crowd there. People came in from Egypt and Saudi Arabia and a bunch of places. We didn't expect that to come in just to see us. And that was a really rabid crowd. Had Dave Ling. I'm sure you know who Dave Ling is. He was there for the show. And a couple other notables as far as the rock press were there for the show. And that was really, really, really a cool venue. And the reason I picked these venues is not so much because the venues were great, but the crowds were phenomenal. Like playing CBGBs in New York City. It was a hole in the wall, but man, the crowd was unbelievable.
Yeah. Cool. Now, continue on the theme of venues. Obviously, you mentioned Wacken. You would love to play at. Is there any other sort of like venue that you would love to play out, but you haven't played at yet?
I mean, I think there's some really big ones that we'd like to play at. Hydrogen probably could have earned that right to play those venues if we would have had the other people in the band would have been focused. Especially with Julie. Julie just didn't stay focused to get the band to that level here in the States. It happened over there, but it didn't happen here. I'd love to play Madison Square Garden. Who wouldn't want to play Wembley? Those are a couple places that I would really, really, really like to play, just because I think they're so cool. And I'd like to play the Budokan in Japan. That would be great.
Yeah, that's iconic. In Japan, it's iconic venue, because I know Ozzy Osbourne played there when he toured Japan.
Yeah.
When he was, I think it was 90s, I believe, mid-90s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is an iconic venue in Japan.
No, very iconic. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I've got another. Thanks to Lisa, because she normally asks these questions. Is there a favourite song that you totally love to play live, whether it be your original or a cover?
Yeah, there was two songs, especially during the Hydrogen days, with Julie, that we did that I really highlights of the night for me. And one of those songs was Blind, which was a Hydrogen original. That song had just so much energy. People loved it. I just liked the song in general. It just got a really good drive and beat. And we used to do a medley of Rainbow in the Dark, and it would go into Still of the Night from Whitesnake. I looked forward to that every night because the crowd would lose their mind. They didn't expect it. And we'd always break it out. And it was just a highlight. It was just something that was just very, very, very cool. And you're just surprised at the people that gravitate toward both of those songs.
Cool.
So yeah, it was very, very cool to play those two songs. But like I said, Blind was very cool too. That was a lot of nights. That was our opening tune. So that would happen really quick, and I'd be like, okay, what's next?
Yeah. I know there's been a few bands that I've seen over the, or especially the unsigned bands that I've seen over the last, since 2016. As I've got to know the songs, there are certain songs that people totally loved, and they expected them to play, these bands to play. And one of the bands who's unfortunately it's not in existence anymore unless they revive it. But one of the bands is Pussy Willow Furry Venus, and one of their songs is Sticky Thicky. And every time they played that, the crowd just went absolutely berserk. They literally went, tore the place, pretty much, not literally tore the place up, but literally like sort of like went off the chain, if you know what I mean. They just went absolutely berserk. So
we had kind of a similar song like that. We had a song called Big Star, and I liked the song, but it wasn't one of the ones I looked forward to playing. But the crowds, when we played the Underworld, there were some Russians there. Those people went insane over Big Star, like just lost their minds. And it was just kind of like, but all the crowds did, because that song has a sing-along part in it. So they got into it, and it had a really, an up-tempo beat, and everything was really good with it. So yeah, I get it. And because in that song, in the chorus, at the end of the chorus, they would say 1, 2, 3, and everybody in the crowd counted. It was amazing.
Yeah. It's good to see when when the crowd totally loves the song, and just when you hear when that first note plays, when that first note plays, everybody knows it instantaneously, and everybody says it's sort of like that cue to say to basically lose their shit, really.
Yeah, exactly. I think every band probably has that, whether you recognize it or not, in your own stuff. But I remember one time we played Big Star in an all-female festival. No, it wasn't an all-female festival. We were playing a show with another band. I can't remember who it was, in Brussels. And we started out Big Star, and the promoter that was there that night just lost his mind, found me right after the show, and he goes, "How do I book you?" I gave him a card and said, "Call this person." So yeah, those things they have their way of finding places with bands, really good songs, and it's songs that you never anticipate. That's the ones everybody latches onto.
Oh yeah, true, so true. Yeah, so true. Where can people find BFD on on social media? Really, where can people find you?
You can find our music, whether it be Hydrogen, Urukai, Audio Porn, and pretty soon, here within the next week or so, you'll be able to find BFD, iTunes. I can't say that you can find us on Spotify because I just haven't made a good decision on Spotify yet. People are out there listening to your music and doing all this stuff, but it's a real bummer when they don't pay you. So we're thinking about that as well. You can find the music on Amazon.com across the world. You can also go to JeffWestlakeMusic.com and order the music there. It's available on the website. There will be more things. BFD's website's about ready to go live. So there's all these different ways to find it, but the most commonly place to find it would be by going to JeffWestlakeMusic.com, because I carry everything from Hydrogen to Urukai to Audio Porn, and anything else that I've been associated with is almost always on and off available there. If you get there and you don't see what you're looking for, send me an email and I'll make sure you get it.
Cool. So this is probably going to be my second to last question.
Okay.
Any advice for people who want to become a musician?
I think that my biggest advice is, if you're getting in this to make money, if you're getting in this to become rich, and I'm not saying you're not going to make money, and I'm not saying that you might not become rich, but if that's your motivation, you need to find something else to do, because this is a passion. This is not something that's fleeting like rich and famous. If you really apply yourself to your passion and you really do this thing the right way, people are going to know you, and people are going to come to you, and people are going to buy your music. My whole thing about doing this was passion. And when Hydrogen got geared up, Michael Wagner, the producer of Metallica, Ozzy, Skid Row, Accept, so on and so forth, tons of millions of, over 100 million albums sold. Told me when we first got there, he said, "Look, you don't want to sign a record deal. Here's what you want to do. This is how you need to do it." And we did it, and it worked. I was making more money a year than some of your most favorite musicians who were selling, going platinum and selling big amounts of albums. But I did it without the overhead and without everybody grabbing into my pie and taking my money. And so we did that, and it was successful. And I still do it. I'm still going to continue to do it. But if you don't have the passion and you want to get rich and famous, It's not ever really going to work for you the way that you want to, or you're going to end up trying to get rich and famous and working some little odd job and being miserable while you're doing it. But you got to do it to pay your bills. I think music should be it should be your passion. It should be something that's just into your DNA that you want to reach out and grab a hold of and do. Otherwise, I don't know, man. Go to college and get a job. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Sound advice there. Sound advice. So, unless anybody's got any questions, please ask away before we start wrapping things up. So, before we start wrapping things up, any final words before we go?
Final words. Anybody and everybody out there that happen to see this, where they've seen it live now or seen it on the link later, know that I thank you for all the years of support and all the years of keeping me doing this, because your continuing buying of the product and sending messages and buying the merchandise and all the stuff that everybody's done throughout the years all over the world. I couldn't even begin to tell you the amount of packages I've sent to Japan, and things like that. I appreciate every one of you. I thank you. You have made my life a very enriched place, something that I am eternally grateful for. Eternally grateful for being given the blessing of having the talent that I do to do what I do. All of you, thank you. Yourself, sir, thank you for interviews and mentioning me throughout the years, even though it's been a while since we talked. I'm sure it's come up somewhere sometime, just like you've come up with me before in conversation. Just gratefulness. Just thank you very much. I don't think that I've even tapped into my best stuff yet. So I think that's happening now with BFD, with Sammi. She just texted me and said, I'm still in traffic. So, I think it's going to be the best yet, because she is so over the top talented, and she's wide open to any ideas and everything, which is very cool. But thank you to everyone. And I hope going forward in the future that there's never a letdown. And I hope to always be able to give everybody something to enjoy.
Yeah. I've been following Jeff for a good few years now, with the hydrogen and now this, and I've listened to his music for quite a while now, and absolutely stunning. All that you do, and I can see why a lot of people still come to you and say, gimme when you do like a new release. Yeah,
I never have a problem selling music. We never go with anything left over in the warehouse. I have people all the time say, hey, do you still have this? You still have that? And I'll go out and order it again just to help one or two people, because to me, if they're wanting it, you got to give it to them, man. That's why I'm doing it in the first place, because people desire to hear what you're doing. I never did it for the money, never did it for the fame, never did it for the girls, all those things that you hear from people. I did it for the passion and just simple love of it. Yeah, now the girls and some of the money hasn't been bad. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to sit here and say that didn't happen. But you gotta love what you do, and you gotta love the people who you do it for, and that's exactly my attitude.
Cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's it. If you haven't got the passion.
Yeah. I think you're wired. I think when you're born, from the minute you're born, you're wired to do this. I mean, I knew when I was like 5 years old, I was going to do this. This is what I was going to end up doing. And I had no questions or qualms about it. I told everybody through school, all the way up till the time I graduated school. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I guess nobody believed me. They thought it was just a bunch of BS. And here it is all these years later. And I have people walking up to me going, you really did do it. I'm like, I really did. I wasn't lying to you.
Yeah. So, Jeff, thank you so much for joining me. It's a pity that Sammi couldn't make it.
Yeah, she'll be. I mean, hey, we'll do this again. Maybe in a month or so, when the next one comes out, and we'll have her here,
But
and I'll step to the side, and you can just interview her. She's a great
yeah,
interviewer, and she's very interesting. But there's been a lot of road work going on around here lately, and just something was unavoidable.
yeah, well, yeah. Sometimes shit happens, basically. But what can you do?
Right, right. Yeah, we'll make it up to you. We'll get her on here sometime before Christmas, hopefully, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
you can grill her.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. To get yeah, I would love to get her sort of like her side of things and how she started.
I want you to do me a favor when you get a chance later, before you go to bed tonight. Sit down and send me your mailing address so I can send you a package.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah, I will do. Yeah,
Absolutely, excellent.
yeah. So, Jeff, again, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a total pleasure. Total pleasure. And guys, I have put the 2 video links to Don't You Walk Away and I've Seen the Devil in the description there. Go check them out. They are
Yeah,
brilliant,
excellent.
brilliant
Thank you,
songs.
thank you so much. Great seeing you again.
Yeah, you too, And yeah, again, Jeff, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, guys, until next time, we'll catch you on later.